Good afternoon, welcome to Pinhole Quilting. I'm Liz, my husband Pete is behind the camera. It's Friday afternoon, we're a little bit late. I just got back from visiting my mum up in Solihull. And one of the things that I saw the last time I was up there, which is a care home called the Royal Star and Garter, is 2 quilts by one of our lovely customers, Myrna. And Myrna has an old work associate who's actually in the same care home, in a different section. And it's actually for either veterans or partners of veterans. And Myrna's friend, I think, was in one of the forces during the war. My dad was in the RAF. Anyway, behind the reception are 2 beautiful quilts quilted by Myrna, which are commemoration poppy quilts. And of course, we just had November the 11th. Recognition of all those people who've served. Beautiful quilts, so beautiful that actually they've been framed and have a little commemorative plaque on the underside. And I showed my mum last week because Myrna actually completed them and quilted them on her Sweet 16, which is fantastic. So whenever I go in the Royal Star and Garter in Solihull now, I see Myrna's beautiful quilts. So there we go, that's where I've been. And Pete, you've had a busy week and you're just recovering in a way because it's quite hard, isn't it, travelling around the country?
Yes, I've been up in Chesterfield installing a Pro Stitcher for Jenny on her Amara, and then up to Caroline in Immingham near Hull, who's upgraded from her Moxie to an Amara 20 with Pro Stitcher.
Yes.
And then yesterday servicing an Amara which is just a year old and it's got 24 million stitches on the clock already.
Yes, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? And what's great about what Lisa, who owns that machine, has done is that she's built a lovely business. She quilts for other people. So 24 million stitches in a year. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, Lisa. Warm hugs quilting in Lincolnshire. And, there are a number of people who run their businesses with using long arm as the basis of it, providing services for other people. It's really important, isn't it, to have that facility. But if you do want to come along and have a look at how you could finish your own quilts as well, that option is there as well. Obviously subject to budget and space. But we've got a day tomorrow allocated to that. And for those people who might be inspired by someone like Stuart Hillard, Stuart is doing 2 talks tomorrow at our open day here at our showroom, in the morning and the afternoon. And it's 9 for 9:30 in the morning and 1 for 1:30 in the afternoon. And Stuart will do a talk and have questions throughout. It's very entertaining. Even if I've heard the stories umpteen times before, I still laugh, but maybe that's just me. But he's just entertaining. But also we've got the opportunity then to have a go on the machines or talk to us about either long arm or domestic machines. And we have a fantastic selection of Juki, Janome and Pfaff machines for you to try. So there we go. And while you were up in Immingham and where else was it?
Lincoln,
yeah.
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield's the one I keep forgetting. Chesterfield, Jenny and Chesterfield. We had a Pfaff open day here, and it was lovely to see some of the customers who came along, and Louise from Pfaff did a great job explaining the range. And also congratulations to Jane, who decided to go ahead with a Moxie ST stationary machine. And it was 10 years ago that I sold her a frame system. So Jane's now changed to a sit-down model, and I hope she enjoys it. She was getting on so well. She did some beautiful quilting, actually, Pete. She really did.
Yeah.
Got great control. So I'm going to install Jane's machine sometime in December. Fantastic. So last week we had our discussion. I say our discussion. I discussed, Pete discussed superior threads. So this week we thought we would do a little demo. So this is absolutely no preparation. We've literally rocked up to this machine. The last time it was used was for the foundation workshops. We haven't tested it out, have we?
Nope.
So we don't even know. This will be like you going to your machine where someone else has used it. Okay, so we don't know what it's like. It's got a glide thread on it. I'm not sure what the needle is. Did we check the needle?
Nope.
We did check the needle. So here we go. This is it. I've got the bobbin case is out with a bobbin in it. I've got a screwdriver. I've got a hex key, and I've got a stack of needles. It sounds like the start of Blues Brothers, doesn't it? If you remember that famous quote. Now, I've got a computerized system here, but I've taken the gears off, and I've got it in free motion quilting mode. This is an Amara 20. We've got our overhead lights. It's got the Studio 3 frame. It's a beautiful setup. and it's probably our most popular setup at the moment. It gives a brilliant combination of sort of, it's like playing with the perfect tennis racket or golf club. You get that lovely balance of the machine, the control, you've got adjustable handlebars, and it's a great one to test these lovely threads out on. So this is what we're going to do. Is there anybody who's looking out on the internet?
Let's say hello to a few people. There's Helen and Jeff. First online. You're winning the race these days, aren't you, Helen?
You are.
Very good.
Fantastic.
And Caroline, for whom I installed the Amara with Pro Stitcher this week. She got a very nice email from Caroline saying what a fantastic upgrade it is to go from the Moxie to the Amara. She was really impressed by the quality of the whole thing.
Yes, it's a beautiful upgrade.
And there's Lisa in Cardiff who's online.
Great. Hi, Lisa.
I can see that Michelle's online as well. Happy birthday for yesterday, Michelle. I missed you really because I was travelling back most of the time.
Yeah, but he still had the pastries in the nose.
But I still had the pastries. Thank you for providing for me.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, Michelle.
Lillian Gayler's online.
Yes, Lillian. Fantastic.
And Elizabeth Dunkley.
Oh, with the beautiful puppy. I just love seeing Elizabeth's posts of her puppy progress. Right, bobbin case. Bobbin case and a bobbin. I've put a Wonderfil bobbin in here. Okay. We normally take off probably 15 to 20 arms lengths. I've already started taking some off, but we do this because they can be overfilled. And this one, I noted that it was above the edge of the bobbin. So what we don't want to have happen is if we've got an overfilled pre-wound like this was, we don't want it to basically spool off. It goes into the bobbin case and it can get caught around the backlash spring. So the backlash spring, regardless of what we use in our bobbins, pre-wounds, magnas, etc., we never remove the backlash spring. Okay, backlash spring is designed to provide tension on our bobbin so that when we've been going really, really fast, like you can, some people go even faster than others, and when you go really, really fast, you come to a sudden stop, what can happen is that bobbin keeps rotating and keeps turning, and therefore the thread comes off the bobbin and you end up with a different tension when you restart. So we don't want that to happen. The backlash spring, which is blue sprung steel, provides some tension. So what you find is when you put it into your bobbin case, it probably, this one is a little bit, some are more than others, it's slightly proud of the edges of the bobbin case, but when it goes in, so you see it goes down, that's the backlash spring providing some tension. So when it goes down and it goes into the bobbin assembly inside the machine, that then is nicely tensioned effectively, providing a nice amount of tension for consistency. Consistency is what we're about.
It should only spring up by a very small amount, a millimetre. If you show it side on, Liz, it might be clearer on the edge on, so that I can see. Yeah,
like that?
Yeah. So yes, you see, just by the thickness of the edge of the bobbin, about a millimetre or so is all it should spring. You don't want any more than that.
When we put the bobbin in the bobbin case, we put it in. Now, I'm right-handed, but there are ways for left-handed people to do this, literally in reverse. It comes off to the right, clockwise. We put it into the bobbin case, like so. Draw it back. I normally keep the little slot at the 12 o'clock position, so it easily draws back and under the spring. That outer spring is what we adjust. So what I'm looking for is, I haven't just tested this yet. You can see that is taking a long time just to drop.
That's too tight.
It's too tight. Too tight. We have to reduce it. So, righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Small increments, small changes on the bobbin case. Big ones on the top, small ones on the bottom. There must be some analogy that we can bring on that. Right, so now I'm going to put it into my hand and I draw it upright, that's fine, and then it follows very smoothly. So I adjusted that by 5 minutes of a clock face, and I think that's pretty much there. I can feel some tension. I don't want it so loose that there's no tension. Not a nice stitch. But if there's enough tension on that, then that's going to be set. That is my drop bobbin, drop test. Done. So now we put it into our hook assembly on the Amara. It has a little light under here. Okay, so it needs a drop of oil, which I haven't got. Do you want to get me a...
Yep.
Okay, Beat's going to get the oiler. Every bobbin change, we should put a drop of oil at the bottom of the hook assembly And the hook assembly has got 2 metal moving parts. And what we're doing is we're oiling so that the oil is distributed between those metal moving parts. So it's almost like a little shelf in here. I don't know whether you can see that.
Not easy on here.
No.
I'll post a photo.
Yeah, we got a maintenance video. It shows it much more clearly with a still photo that shows exactly where the oiler goes. So 1 drop of oil. We've got these. We've got replacement ones which are finer with like a needle point if you find it difficult. Then with the, oh, and one final check. I have seen people do the most incredible things with bobbins and bobbin cases and flip them so that they put them in the reverse way around and they end up being anti-clockwise wind. So what we do to check it's in the correct way around, pull on the thread and it should turn clockwise. That is your double check. When we've done that, we then put it into the hook assembly. It's at 3 o'clock of a clock face, the little latch door, and it's closed. We don't keep it open. The reason being, it won't make a big click like it just did when I put it in. If you keep that latch door open, you can't be certain it's gone in properly. Now, threading up, I've got a glide thread on here. At the moment, should we start from scratch? Should we start from scratch?
No, we don't have to start from scratch. We can just show it from here.
Well,
I'll come around this side.
So it's going through 2 holes. There's up here, along there. I don't know who threaded this, but that's not normally how I do it, but I know quite a lot of our customers do. Sometimes I pop a bit of wadding in here to stop that jumping out. There's a guide. For Moxie customers, you don't have this guide. It goes straight from the thread mast to the first of the pretensioners. The pretensioners on here, designed to take twist out, and for something like glide, we can put it through 2 or 3 holes. It's a kind of personal preference thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull on this thread and just see what it feels like. Now, do you see how this thread is running really off? It's not going to go through that tension disc at that angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ease those discs apart. I don't know whether you can see that, Pete, because you're not quite the right angle. I'm going to ease the discs apart like that and pull on the thread from by the piggy tail, and then I'm going to let go. And I'm going to watch to make sure it doesn't come out again. Do you see how it's working its way out again? Look. I'm going to see with some thread that's a bit slick, sometimes it can do that. And what we say is wrap it twice around the bobbin. Oh, it's got a little, I can't believe that. It's
looped itself around the needle.
I didn't actually thread this. There we go. Looped. I also check for how that feels. So you get a sense over time of what a thread feels like. And every time you thread it up, just check before you even do a stitch test, because you're going to save yourself a lot of time of rethreading it. If it's too tight and it ends up breaking on the first 2 stitches, well, you could have avoided that potentially if you checked it and build up in your muscle memory or your sort of knowledge of your machine what it should feel like for different thread. Now, for something like this machine, which is an Amara, we've actually got a numeric readout for this tension. So mine is 49 at the moment. Yours will be different. They're all different. They're not calibrated on anything except the Infinity, which has got a calibrated tension disc. But for the Moxie and for the Moxie XL and for the older machines like the Simply 16 and older machines, we didn't have a numeric readout. So you'll just have to sort of learn what that is, what it feels like. You haven't got a numeric number to refer to. There's also a little dot on the outside of the tension dial. Okay, this little black knob has got a hard to see little black dot, but that's really useful because if I said to you, okay, loosen it off by half a turn, how do you know what half a turn is? Well, this at the moment is about 10:02 of the clock face, like 10 o'clock. If I wanted to loosen it off by half a turn, I can easily see that little dot is now at 20 past. So that's how you need to loosen it off, particularly if you've got one without a numeric readout. So I'm just going to feel that.
So yes, Helen, this was just easing apart the 2 large discs that were on the tension assembly.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to say that if you do the thing where you thread pull your thread through, similar thread, same settings, but different colour, and you want to change the thread, you can snip it at the back, put the two ends together, do a little knot and pull it through. But when I do that, I always ease those tension of discs apart and then pull on it to make sure that it's actually in there. Okay, so I'm going to do my first check.
So the other thing I check at this point, Liz, is always that the spring is moving backwards and forwards if you pull on the thread there. That's just to double check that you've threaded it correctly. That spring on the tension assembly should be moving backwards and forwards.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, we had a couple of foundation workshops. It was lovely to see people, and I hope that everybody went back home with kind of, I don't know, more confidence really about their threading up. But one of the key things that we teach on that is really this importance of checking that tension on the top is engaged. It's a bit like on your standard domestic machine, the tension discs aren't engaged until you put the presser foot down. But we don't have a presser foot on this machine, so it's always engaged. So the only way you can really test it to make sure it is in there, ease those tension discs apart. That's a bit like the presser foot up, presser foot down, let them go, and then you can feel it. Okay, so I'm just going to do needle down, needle up. And when I do this, I'm pulling up, I'm holding onto the top thread. Don't just do needle down without holding onto the top thread. And when I do this, I'm going to pull up that bobbin thread. It's black, on black, you're not going to see it. I pull on the bobbin thread. It should not feel ridiculously tight, okay? If it is, you might need to take out that bobbin thread again. Mine is just coming out nice and smoothly, similar tension to the top. So once I've done that, on an Amara I've got a tie off, but I'm just going to demonstrate how I would just do 2 or 3 stitches slightly apart, like little micro stitches. You can go back on yourself if you want to make sure. Leave the needle down and then you're ready to go. I'm going to do this at the moment. I'll just show you precision mode for this thread. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm looking at this and looks like a nice stitch on top, but I'm not sure about the bottom. Oh, there we go. Looks a bit tight on the top. It's laying a little flat. So I would reduce the tension. So I've reduced the tension. I've reduced the tension by 1/2 a turn. Reduce spikies. Don't have to go ridiculously fast to do this. I still can't see the top thread, but that's now a much nicer looking stitch. It's actually going down. This one was looking very flat on the top. This is actually like a proper stitch.
I think you can even see that on the camera here. This is a much better defined stitch here, which is a good indicator that the tension is right. Whereas this one, look, it's like a dashed line rather than a stitch.
Exactly. Okay, so I would be happy with that. But one way you can do it is go too far and then you know it's between those 2 points. Okay, so I'm down to 35. I could go a bit further. So I'm down to 29. Let's just see, can I now see bits of the pink on the underside? A little bit there, it's tiny. You're not going to see it very much, but there's a tiny bit of pink. So 29 is too far, 35 is just about right. So go between the two. And that looks really nice on top and bottom. So there we go, that's tension, that's glide. Now let's look at some of the other threads that we want to use. To finish off, by the way, I pull down from here, I move away, take up the slack when I come back, forming a loop, and do a final needle down, needle up. That's how to bring up your bobbin thread. And then we can either cut that off, level the quilt, or cut it long. And when I move away, one of these is disappearing, and the other one I can tie in. Oh, I missed cutting it. Brilliant demonstration. Those scissors, those are your scissors, Pete. I think Pete might have used those for things other than a little bit of thread. Okay, I did then.
I just found those over by your desk, Liz.
I know.
And I thought, that's where my scissors are.
I know, I stole them. Right, we need some scissors.
You've got some. Right there, look.
Where's my scissors gone? I've no idea where they are. Oh gosh, something happened about that the other day. Who was it? It's one of somebody I was doing something with, and she got 2 pairs of glasses on. Who was that? She couldn't see what she was doing. Oh, who was it? It's Trish. It's Trish. 2 pairs of glasses. One on her head, one on her face. There we go. Let's look at some other threads, because this is the exciting thing. We have a basket here. Pete has curated this collection for me. I don't know what's in it, so let's have a look.
I've just tried to choose some different weight threads, picking up on some comments from last week about how tricky is it to move from one thread to another. Right, so what are you going to go for next?
I'm going to go for this one, Pete.
Okay.
This is lovely, lush, fantastico, in the same colours as King Tut's Paradise.
Okay, so this is a variegated polyester thread.
Yeah, and it says recommended long arm needle is an 18. But Pete said, why don't we just keep the same needle in and not change it? That's what we're going to do. We're going to live life fast and loose. We're going to take a risk here. Where's my scissors gone? There they are. And
Glide also recommends a size 18 needle though, but
yeah,
we generally use a size 16.
We do.
If you can get away with a smaller needle, and the smaller the number, the smaller the needle, then that's fine.
So with Glide thread, they have this lovely little pop-up bit on the bottom, on the base of the cones, so you can secure your threads. I spend hours every day putting the threads back into the cones. No, I don't, but I feel like it sometimes. After we've done a class, I do that, but what we've also got is this great Hugo's Wonder Tape, which means that you can, I can't even find the end of it. It's transparent, you can't see where it is. There it is. And it holds the end of thread where you don't have one of those nifty-diffty things that holds the thread. Hugo's Wonder Tape. Let's put this on here. So, Pete.
Helen loves Paradise. Well, we all love Paradise, Helen, don't we, really?
Who doesn't love living in paradise?
So Liz has just snipped the glide thread. Let me come around this side and then you can see too. So she has tied the new thread onto the old thread that she cut.
2 ends together, make a little knot.
A couple of simple knots.
Just do one like that.
There we go.
I trim it off, just to there. God, mine's about as, well, maybe I've been using mine for other things as well. That's what, I do this to all scissors. I'm going to just keep it as it is then, Pete.
Yes. So we've changed nothing.
We changed nothing. Right, I'm going to pull the tension disc apart so my knot doesn't get wrecked. And I'm going to pull it through, pull it through, pull it through. How about this?
Sometimes if you're really lucky, you can even pull it through the needle. But
I couldn't do it.
no, worst case scenario, it's just the very final step of putting the thread through the needle. That you
Sometimes I do it and I don't even realise I'm doing it. That is a rubbish pair of scissors. No, it definitely won't.
Spoke to a customer who never threaded her machine manually. For 7 years she'd had a machine.
I remember you serviced it, right?
And well, I was trying to diagnose a problem on the phone actually, and I said, okay, well, we've gone through a few of the things. Next thing I'd like you to do is to completely unthread it and thread it manually again. And she said, I've got no idea how to do that.
Panic set in at that
In
moment.
7 years, I've always just snipped the thread, tied it together and pulled it through.
Amazing. So I'm now pulling on this thread, okay? I can tell already that is quite tight. Like that's tighter than the glide. So I'm automatically, well, not automatically because we're talking about it, but I am going to already rotate the tension dial by half a turn. More than that. I've done 40 minutes. Now, variegated threads have their own issues in some ways because with the cotton ones in particular, they basically take up the dye in differing amounts depending on the colour of the dye. So, which is what I talked about last week. Let's see what it does with Paradise. So needle down, needle up, bring up your bobbin thread. Bobbin thread doesn't need to be changed. Basically, I can set that and I don't have to touch it again. I can just change these threads and just pull new ones through.
Yeah, we mentioned last week, and in fact we've had an inquiry from the customer today, a new customer who was just checking that she could use a different weight of thread in the bobbin than she does on the top.
Definitely.
And yes is the answer. So we've got an 80 weight bobbin thread. It doesn't matter what you've got on the top, it's just a question of balancing the tension.
So I'm just going to turn this over and see what it looks like. Okay, no bobbin thread coming through on the top, on the bottom, from the top, and the top thread. That looks pretty nice to me. Let me just do a little bit more. Gorgeous. That's lovely. That's a really nice stitch. Beautiful. And there's no bobbin, there's no top thread showing through on the bottom. That's completely black.
Okay, look at the front.
At the front.
Nice looking stitch.
Beautiful stitches.
So the only thing that Liz changed was to slightly reduce the top tension. It's now on 26 instead of 32, was it before?
It was 32, and what I did was, it's actually I changed it by, I reduced the tension by 45 minutes of the clock face, because I looked at my little dot. So if you've got a Moxie or Moxie XL, that's what you'll use. But that's the difference between the Glide, single colour, and the Magnifico, which is a trilobal poly, which is similar weight. It's graded as the same sort of weight, but I think it is slightly thicker. Ordinarily, I would change the needle to an 18. So having tried the 16, I would try it on the same fabric, wadding, backing that I'm going to use on my quilt. If I don't have any thread breaks, then happy days, I've got a smaller hole. If I do and it starts shredding, I'll up it to an 18. There we go. That's the first one. Right, let's finish that one off. Come back along my line of stitching. Pull from the cone, move away, take up the slack, come back, needle down, needle up, and pull up the thread. Beautiful.
Okay, but you've tried two 40 weight threads so far.
Yeah, and now I'm going to try a 60 weight. This is Superior Threads bottom line. So, which way do we think?
Okay, it's a finer thread, so I would expect you have to tighten the top tension a little bit, because that thread is going through between those two discs. So to have the same pressure on the thread from the two discs, you probably have to tighten it a little bit.
So I'm going to do
same thing again.
Same thing again. Going to pull it through.
So let's just do the same thing, Liz.
Yeah.
Yep, Helen says tie to two. That's what we expect to happen, Helen.
Yeah. And I will do my test before I pull it through the needle to see how it feels in comparison. Pull that through. What beautiful colour.
Same colour as your jumper.
One of my favourite colours. Right, so I'm pulling that through.
Hello to Rachel Shaw. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
And Lillian Gayler.
Oh, Rachel, I fell off my bike.
Not too seriously, fortunately.
Last Sunday, on my gravel bike. I turned in the middle of the road, didn't I, Pete? I wasn't doing a tight turn.
Luckily, it was very low speed.
Clipped in, bang. Not good. Anyway, nothing broken. First thing I thought about was my bike. I said to Pete, can you get my bike off the road? Right.
So Elizabeth Dunkley says that her puppy has now walked 59k for Macmillan. 41 more to go in November.
Look, that's fantastic.
Sponsorship going well. Well done.
Well done. That is brilliant.
And hello to Julia Hewitt as well. Hi, Julia.
Yeah, hi, Julia. So I'm pulling on the thread. It's not that
Rachel says, happens to the best of us, Liz.
Yeah, when you're clipped in, it's not much fun. I I had fallen over once before, the first outing pretty much on my new bike.
Rachel
And,
says, glad your bike's okay.
yes. First thing I did was check the bike. Oh, I've got a little scratch on it.
So it's a sign of a proper cyclist when they're more
is.
concerned about the bike than their own injuries.
Get the bike off the road, Pete. I'm lying on the road. But Pete, can you get the bike off the road? Get the bike off the road quick, in case the car comes.
This is an absolutely true story, yes. Liz is lying on her back in the middle of the road, looking up to the sky, asking me to get the bike off the road.
You had taken it off me already, hadn't you, though?
Yeah.
It was lying on top of me. Oh, dear. Anyway, I'm fine. Just a bit of bruising. So, I'm going to do this one. I've gone up to 30, so I've increased my tension because I'm pulling it through and I'm thinking, don't want it to break. It's quite fine thread.
But again, we've changed
needle.
nothing else. Same needle.
Same needle.
Twice through 2 holes on the pre-tensioner.
They're all the same.
We're trying to demonstrate really just how relatively easy it is to change threads. And it's nothing to be afraid of.
Okay, that's good. I'm going over the top of my glasses here because I now can see it more accurately. But I'm also looking at the points, so I can see that actually is pulling up. So I'm going to reduce it a bit more. It's just pulling up on that point. I've left it in precision mode because this is more likely to pull up on the points than in cruise mode. I would stitch with this thread, free motion, in cruise, but to test it, I'm testing it in precision because it's a harder test. That's good now, that's got rid of that. So it's not coming up on my point. Not coming up on the point, is it showing on the back? No! Oh my goodness.
There we are. Yes, Julia, you're quite right. When you stop at traffic lights and forget to unclip, that's a real danger moment, isn't it? You stop at a T-junction.
That's kind of what happened. The first time I fell off on my road bike, which is beautiful, we were trying to pick up, we were both turning right. You went the quick route. I stayed on the road, turned right, unclipped on the left-hand side, but didn't unclip on the right. And in front of a car, I just went. Luckily, they were only going about 20 miles an hour, and they stopped before they hit my head. So that was good. They stopped about 20 feet away. I was quite relieved. But, you know, it just shows you.
Sounds very careless, Liz. I think I'm going to have to up your insurance.
So annoyed. It was a pristine new old bike that was new to me, and I'd gone about 10 miles on it, and before I knew it, I got 2 scratches on it. Anyway, the girls driving the car were very nice.
Try not to laugh,
I was okay.
probably.
It must have looked quite comic, as I just toppled, slow motion style. Back to the thread. That's great. Pete.
Okay.
Let's not
Dead
stress
easy.
about this.
No.
Now, the only thing that I would say with having a finer thread in a 16 needle is it's still within the range, but what can happen is if it's really fine, like a 80 weight or a 100 weight, which we're going to try next, is what can happen is it can wobble about too much and it skips stitches. We're going to go over the other side piece so that I can turn this over and look more easily. Okay?
Okay.
Is that all right? Go this side.
I'm getting an 80 weight thread for you here.
Cool.
Because there wasn't one open. Sorry about the rustling.
We've only got light Invisifil open, hadn't we? Deco Bob open, rather. So this is Deco Bob. This is made by Wonderfil. It's what comes on that pre-wound. So in the bobbin, I've got Deco Bob on a pre-wound. This is a lovely fine thread. Deco Bob, here's the thing, you can piece with Deco Bob. I've pieced apple core quilt with that Deco Bob, which if anybody's done it, there's curved piecing everywhere. It's a nightmare. And you need your seams really, really flat. And when you put all your rows together, if you haven't got all of your piecing beautifully done, you know about it. And I did mine with Deco Bob, and it was like I didn't have any seams. Because a thicker thread to join your piecing creates a thicker area for it to then fold over. So it's just one of those things. I think probably most people wouldn't go 80 weight to piece, but honestly, loved it. Absolutely loved it. We are going to do the same thing again. Cut my thread. There's my bottom line in the gorgeous colour. I'm going to put the deco bob on. Get rid of the sticky bit of the label. Make sure that's not inhibiting my cone in any way. If you were worried, you would put a thread net on it for consistency. Put those two ends together. Put a little knot in it. Pull it through.
Georgie, glad you could join us.
Hey.
We were late today, you were even later.
I picked up my wabi-sabi yesterday, George. Look, I pulled it through the needle. See, with a fine one, straight through, no messing. Didn't even have to thread it.
So still a size 16 needle, which isn't what we would normally recommend with an 80 weight thread, but let's see what happens.
Going down here, please, Pete.
Mm-hmm. I'll come over this side.
Check the back of the machine. Sometimes we treat it like a table, but it isn't a table. Not for putting cups of coffee on anyway. Right, so I'm going to do my pull down. I actually think I don't need to change that. That feels pretty good. Pull that through. 2 or 3 stitches.
So Rachel, yes, we do pull the knot through the tension discs. Now, Liz eases open the tension disc to help the knot go through. I usually don't do that, being a bloke. I just pull it and it comes through normally. The risk is that it undoes the knot. So yes, it goes through the tension discs, but you can make it easier for yourself just by with one fingernail, just open those tension discs as the knot goes through.
It's become a bit automatic for me, to be honest. It comes partly from doing a lot of sit-down stitching where I was changing the threads a lot. And because it's so easy when you're sitting down, you're like here, and the tension disc is here. It's so easy to just ease them apart to change the thread. It becomes very, very automatic on a sit-down, where you might want to, say you're doing thread painting, you might be changing the threads all the time. So that makes it easy. Okay, well, let's just have a look. Another thing to think about is on some of these threads, and I'm thinking glide 60, there is a bit of stretch in them. If you're, listen out for whether you've got the tension too tight. Sometimes I can hear it. Even if I'm doing technical support over the phone on a WhatsApp call, I can actually hear if the glide thread is too tight. Actually happened last week. Yeah, with a customer up in Preston. I could actually hear the pinging of it. It was really interesting. All right, so I'm going to just slacken this pole off. That one. Oh, we've got the front thing on. Okay, just move that. Great. That looks good, doesn't it?
Difficult to see on camera, but that all looks like
good.
a perfect stitch on the back and on
it's
the front.
A proper stitch on the top. And it was literally from just feeling it. It just feels the same as the bottom line in terms of how much it's pulling on it. And that is a lovely stitch. It's not, I'm checking the corners, I'm checking my points. I can't see bobbin thread coming up. It's not too tight on the top. It's a proper stitch on the top. And that's a really good stitch on the bottom. I can't see the top thread coming through. Happy days.
I think you can see already just how easy it is in principle to change threads.
In principle.
even though we've not done the things we would recommend, like changing the needle to match the thread, it's still been stitching fine. So it's, and Liz has not really changed the tension dial very much either.
I haven't. Just, shall I put it through? Oh no, we're just going to pull through again.
Let's just carry on
We're
at the
just going
moment.
to do the same thing. I was about to change it because I'm going King Tut.
No.
Big change. King Tut, 40 weight, 3 ply, 100% cotton, Egyptian long staple cotton.
Fluffy.
Thread. Little fluffy.
And very highly variegated, this one.
Yeah.
In terms of different strengths of colours.
Now,
Show it side on.
I've used this thread a lot. It's often in the samples.
It is, that's where I got that from.
So, this particular combination, my experience of this is because the dye has a differing amount depending on the colour, if you just run your fingers along the thread, sometimes you can feel it. For me, it's possibly the green or the pink. They're just slightly thicker. So I'm going to cut that top thread.
Okay, a few more comments, Liz, as you're doing that.
Yeah.
So Caroline, who's just got her new Amara Pro Stitcher this week, says, had a fab time playing today. I love it.
Good.
I had an Angela Walters book to practice with, and I got some stencils out as well. So having a free motion book like one of Angela's is a really good way of really getting used to your new machine, the feel of it, the weight of it, and to get used to the smoothness of it.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well done, Caroline.
Georgie Hodgson says she's just finished a Christmas panel made into a lap quilt using Pro Stitcher. Ooh. A few battles, but I won. Good.
Yes. Go, Georgie.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Technical question from Michelle.
Okay.
Would using a thread net give a tiny bit of pre-tensioning?
Yeah, it does. It does. Tiny amount. Tiny amount. I have seen that actually where you do need to potentially slacken off on the tension dial if you put a thread net on 100 weight. Good question. Good question. I don't know if I'd be interested if anybody who's a very experienced quilter, if Linda's online, she probably isn't, but someone like Linda would have a view on the 100 weight. She used to use that quite a lot.
So
maybe more micro quilter than Invisifil.
Yeah. Two more comments. Georgie says, on a large cone of thread, she had problems with the thread jumping out, so she used a net and changed the tension. Probably need to practice a bit more, but it gives a more regular feed on the thread. And Helen replies saying that she uses thread nets all the time.
Yeah. Saves
the cones becoming a spider's web.
Yeah. I think, thread nets, yeah. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't use them all the time, really. Oh, that's my hip. Right, so I'm going to pull this through. I'm pretty certain I will need to change the tension. So who's going to say what we got to do?
So we've gone from an 80 weight thread to a 40 weight cotton fluffy thread. So place your bets, please.
I went straight through the needle.
And it went straight through the needle.
I didn't force it.
Size 16 needle.
Yeah, because it's got a very fine thread. Pulling it through, it popped through.
So the tension number on this machine for the previous thread is 26.
26. It's pretty low, but
yeah.
Let's see.
So what do you think Liz is going to need to do to get the tension right, just from feel? One of those occasions where nobody in the classroom is putting their hands up at the moment.
No. That's interesting.
I think it's
not through 3 tension guides, 3 tensioners. I'm actually not going to change it. I want to see what it looks like if I don't change it. I've gone from 80 weight to 40 weight cotton 3 ply, and I'm not going to change it.
Okay, so we've got contradictory answers coming in. One person says increase it, 2 people now say loosen it, and Liz at the moment, based on just the feel of the thread, is not doing anything, and we'll see what happens.
I'm hedging my bets. A little bit loopy there because it's coming through. The yellow has come through. Let's have a look.
So
do a bit more. Oh yeah, this is going to be good. So let's have a look.
I think this is showing what you want it to show, isn't it, Liz, by the look of it?
Yeah.
So Rachel, yes, the Amara has a thread tension number readout. So as you change the top tension manually, this number increases. So let me just demonstrate. It's on 26 at the moment here, this one. And I'm just going to increase the tension. If I turn it full turn, it's gone up to 41. I'll turn it back again so that it's back to where we started. There's not a lot of difference between 25 and 26.
No, there isn't.
So yes, the Amara has a guide. So if you're regularly moving from one thread to another, it helps you find the right number. So what have we got on here, Liz?
What we've basically got it's very loose.
Let's have a good look, because this is often a very good test, isn't it?
But look how much worse it is on the yellow than the others. It's yellow and pink, but the green is, the green's a bit rubbish as well.
Right.
Pink isn't. Pink is fine.
So there's a saying
Look
that
at
I
that.
picked up from Liz when it comes to strongly variegated threads. Liz's rule of thumb is that yellow is always the problem.
It is.
And look, it's absolutely demonstrated that. So the green looks okay, the pink looks okay, the purple looks okay, the yellow looks awful.
It does. And what that tells me is, because we've got different situations with different colours, it is going to be a challenge. It is going to be a challenge to get that perfect for all the colours. So we may have to make a compromise. And the compromise might be choosing a yellow backing and putting a yellow bobbin thread in, for example, because it might be that I just can't get it absolutely perfect. I'm going to do a bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the top. I want to see if I really tighten the top. I'm going to go to 50. I'm going to go too far. Just want to see. Now, I can already see that's a lot better because the thread is not loose as it was. Okay, so I can already see that. It's not pulling up on the points, not pulling up on the points. What's doing on the back though? That's going to be the issue.
Oh, got my tripod caught around a cable.
Yeah. Let's have a look. I'm going to have to get in close. Yeah, there's a bit of pink showing. Pink is too loose. On the top, it's coming through to the underside. The yellow's coming through. I can tighten it more. Right, so from here, I'm going to go 60.
So I think this is quite an interesting one, actually, because
it is.
You do not think that logic will solve
all of the issues.
All of the issues. Actually, it's just testing, and I would have assumed that Liz needed to reduce the top tension to get.
Yeah, that's why I didn't, because
and that was the majority view online as well.
Yeah.
But in fact, she's had to tighten it to make the balance right. But whatever works is what works.
Because the other ones were fragile, and it was beautifully balanced. So that's looking really good now.
So
have a look. Let me just take the needle out. So here we go. I'm just going to get close.
This is the last bit of.
Yeah, there's a tiny bit of pink, a tiny bit of green, tiny bit of pink, tiny bit of green. I could probably go tighter.
But it's barely visible.
But it's barely visible. I know we got blue.
And on the top?
Tricky to. Oh, it's fine. I wouldn't want to go too much tighter because I feel like the top thread's going to look too flat.
Yes, it's looking.
It's going towards a flat look. Here was where I changed. So you see, there's a nice looking stitch here, and then it goes a bit flatter. So somewhere between those 2 points, I would probably be about right.
Interesting comment just come in.
Yeah.
I thought we always tinkered with the bobbin tension to get the tension right.
Who's that?
Rachel.
With the bobbin tension. Okay. Do you want to go through that, Pete? Do you want to cover that point?
We set the bobbin tension once when we've put a new full bobbin in, and then we never touch it.
Exactly. But perhaps Rachel came in partway through.
Maybe. It's been a while since she had her machine as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't know if... But certainly with the Handi Quilter machines, all of your tension adjustments, once you've set your bobbin tension originally, all of your tension adjustments are done on the top tension to get your tension right. And it's so much easier to do it on the top tension than to keep having to take your bobbin out as well.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go back to 55 or something on that.
Yeah, it's a little bit...
It's a little bit flat and insipid.
Such defined...
No, it's a nicer looking stitch. So at the point where I might have some of that top thread, and that feels quite strong. At 55, that feels like I've got the tension just about right. There we go. And that's a nicer looking stitch. I've gone down to 55.
Let's see if we can see that.
Here it is. There's a nice looking stitch.
This was the previous
that was the previous one.
You can see it looks
just
a
little
bit
flat.
too much like
This
dotted
one.
lines. Oops.
This one is...
I flicked it round, so how did that
Oh,
happen?
we're going to see you, Pete.
Don't want to see me. All I did was trying to get the focus.
This one. Here we go.
I touched it nowhere near that button.
Did you notice he was very reluctant to be on camera today?
Well, from that angle, looking at my nose, that's not... Yeah, so that's a better stitch now.
It is.
There we go.
Great. So, how about... Could we risk metallic?
I think we need to quickly go through a couple more things. I think you need to try 100 weight. I think you need to try metallic.
100 weight. I should have done 100 weight after the 80, but this is even more interesting, isn't it? Doing 100 weight after the 40 weight. Pull it through.
Same needle.
100 weight, micro quilter. I would put a net on.
Yes, with a fine thread like 100 weight, it's going to come off that spool too easily.
Putting a net on, putting a thread net on. I'm going to put the thread net on. I'm going to grab the thread that's coming off the cone, and I'm going to draw it through. Oh, I missed it. I'm going to do that one more time with feeling. Here we go. So put it over your cone, and the thread, I'd already sorted out the thread on that occasion, otherwise I'd have pulled it through, but it was falling away, so I could, using gravity, have it like that, and then I can pop it up the other way, and now my thread, you can see it so fine. I'm going to pop that on there. I'm going to cut my King Tut, take him off, and I'm going to put these two together. 16 needle, people. Just a 16 needle. Let's put that over there. There's no reason for me to do it from the back one, but I just fancy a change. Is that okay? I might, because this is quite a fine thread, what I might do is put a piece of wadding in the top there. If it jumps out, I can do that. We did that for a few people on the class. There's my knot. The scissors aren't very sharp. There we go, managed to do it. Pull the thread through. Still 2 holes, not changed it. Bring it through.
Should be able to get that one right through the needle too, I would think, depending on the knot.
It's gone right through the needle, Pete.
Good.
You had the faith.
See how much faster it is than threading your machine every time manually.
Yep. So pull on that. Now, I am going to reduce that. So I'm just pulling on it. I've gone down to 46. Still feels quite tight.
Okay.
Down to 40. It's okay. It's okay. It could work. I'm going to test it. few stitches. When I'm testing thread, I tend not, on the Amara, I tend not to use the micro tie off because I'm testing the thread. For the sake of using the micro tie off, what I prefer to do is do needle down, needle up, needle down, needle up 3 times and get the sense of how it's going before I start stitching. And when I start stitching, I'm just a bit cautious. I'm listening as well because it is a stretchy thread. It's quite forgiving. Personally, I think my micro quilter is a wonderful thread. It looks quilted, but it doesn't have a thickness to it that builds up. So you can go over and over. Sounds a little tight.
So Helen, the pre-tensioner, we've used 2 holes. We tend to miss out the middle one. So we've gone through the top hole from the back to the front, gone round to the back again, skip the middle hole and then through the bottom hole and then carry on from there.
Okay.
That's what we would recommend. So what are you seeing now, Liz?
I am not seeing any bobbin thread coming through. I mean, it's very fine. Both of them are very fine.
Rachel,
I actually think that's pretty close, to be honest.
Rachel, we've got an 80 weight deco bob in the bobbin.
Let's have a look at those corners.
So Liz says that's fairly close. When you're experienced with your machine, I think you can get the tension 90% right.
Yeah, that's nice.
Just by feeling the tension when you've loaded the thread.
That's better. It's just a minute thing. It's just not pulling up on the corners at all now.
So a very fine thread here.
This one, I've just adjusted it and it's this long line here.
Looks good.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really good on the back. And it's not, it was pulling up a little bit on the corners, I felt. It's just a bit too tight and I could hear it. Like I say, it's pretty forgiving.
Yeah, it looks a nice stitch.
Yeah, I'm going to do a bit more. I'll go all the way up here. Lovely. Yeah. So anybody who's coming to the Stuart Hillard event tomorrow is going to see all this when they come tomorrow morning. You can have a look. All right, that was the 100. Should we go metallic?
Let's go metallic.
Let's go metallic.
Now, metallic is notoriously difficult to guess what we need to do on the tension. Because metallic is a generic name given to threads that are actually manufactured and wound in all sorts of different ways. So you just can't say that with metallic you need to do A, B or C. You've just got to test it, feel the tension, try it out, and then get it right.
Coming up to Christmas, people might be using metallic, so this is a good one. So put on your thread net, thread coming out the top, have it so that the cone sits on the other end of the thread net. Snip your thread from the previous one. Bring your machine closer when you're short. Tie the ends together. Like so. There we go, got a good knot. Got a pile of thread here. Right, pull it through. Now, I really wouldn't ordinarily do 2 pretensioners, so I am quite intrigued to show what happens.
What would you normally do?
I'd just do 1. And the reason being is that what I don't want to do is expose the core. So a metallic thread is basically metal wrapped around a core. The core could be rayon, it could be polyester, I don't know what else it might be, but anyway, it could be one of those 2 things generally. And it depends on how it's made as to whether it's wiry, that metallic, whether it's a soft and pliable metallic, or whether it isn't. So let's just see. I popped it through the needle Pete.
Good.
It feels a bit tight. I'm going to reduce it. So, still feels tight. Okay, so let's see how that goes.
So Michelle's been using metallic thread to make her Christmas cards.
Oh, you see, isn't it brilliant? Michelle hadn't used metallic before, what, a week and a half ago, I would say. And she had a really good go with metallic thread and is now bitten by the bug. She went home, she got some superior threads.
And Georgie says that she needs to show and tell her Christmas cards. Yeah.
You do. Go, Michelle. Right. I'm going to just have a go. I've loosened off. The tension is 17 on this Amara. It's pretty loose. Let's see if I've loosened it too much. Could well be. Don't go fast with metallic. So I'm being a little cautious at the beginning.
Let's just have a look. So you
Yeah.
reduce the tension quite a lot.
So if I've reduced the tension, we would expect, if I've reduced it too far, to be able to feel on the back some metallic thread. And the way that you can do that with your fingernail, you can run your fingernail along the reverse side, and if you feel the metallic thread, it'll actually be because it's popping through. Not really. Not feeling a lot. Possibly. We need to flip it over and have a look. Let's have a look. Can't see any on the back. It's looking good.
So look at that, purely from that tension test.
Let's cut the thread.
By feeling the thread, Liz has got the tension pretty much spot on.
Okay, so nice thread on, nice stitch on top. Yep, proper stitch on top. And I can't feel the metallic on the bottom because there isn't any. This is it here. I did those 3 circles. That's metallic on the top. No metallic coming through.
Let's look at the top of that section.
And there we go. That's a nice stitch.
Looks good.
Yep.
Okay, Jenny James. Hi, Jenny.
Jenny.
Says that she hasn't used metallics yet and she's probably being too cautious. Yes.
Yes.
Give it a go, Jenny.
Jenny, we've got to live life on the edge. This is how we get our kicks these days, you know?
So she asks,
what we do.
would you recommend using Deco Bob thread in the bobbin with metallics and other similar unusual threads?
Deco Bob in the bobbin. Metallics on the top. Totally. So there's the example, my pink punk chicken.
Yeah, I think a finer thread in the bobbin with metallics and other unusual threads is the way to go.
Yeah, a finer thread or a fluffy bobbin fill. So this is my...
So I'd go 60 or 80 weight in the bobbin, I would think.
I agree. So this is my pink punk chick.
So Deco Bob is 80 weight.
Yeah.
You could use
so
Glide 60.
all the way through this
Okay.
is 80 weight Deco Bob, bobbin fill.
So this is the back of
This is the back of it. Where I've overstitched it, because it's heavily machine embroidered, it does pop through, but actually I didn't change the tension of my bobbin thread at all. There's my punk on the back.
There we are, on the label.
Yeah, and that isn't my weekend look.
Oh, look at that.
That was a good party, wasn't it, Pete?
We had a punk party, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right.
2014.
2014, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. We were young then.
So there we are. Deco Bob, 100% polyester, 80 weight. Let's have a look at the front then, Liz, because this was all about your...
So, yeah, in here we've got, this is Superior Threads Metallic. That very spool is the silver I still use in the classroom today. That's that one. Over here I've got Sulky Sliver, which is a metallized ribbon. That's for his silver bits up here. I've got the equivalent of that here with an orangey yellow sliver. I've got Wonderfil metallic for his green punk
Boots.
Doc Martens. And then I've got a Wonderfil rayon and metallic mix here. That's all using the same bobbin thread, not changed it at all. There we go. So that's my punk chick.
So we've got a couple of very late arrivals to the party, just
Ooh,
before
who's
we're
that?
about to sign off, I think.
Yeah, we will.
Glenys Davis
Hi, Glenys. Glenys does some beautiful work.
and Linda.
And Linda, there we go. Linda, you'll have to review it and see whether you can make any comments on any of the things that we've done. It'd be interesting to get your observations. But basically, what we've just demonstrated is that we've used a huge variety of thread from 100 weight through to, well, 40 weight 3-ply is the thickest we used, and we used metallic. And all we did was we changed the thread tension on the top. We changed nothing else. The same needle. I'm not saying that I would do that. If I was actually doing a quilt, I would probably change the recommended sizes, but we're just demonstrating that there is a lot of flexibility. And when you look at the charts of the thread and needles, you actually have 40, 50, 60 weight with the 16 needle is shown there. I think that's right.
So
I can find out on here. Here we go. The thread charts. Oh, for people who've got an Amara, you've actually got the thread chart on here. Look. So 16, 40, 50, 60. Monofilament, glitter and metallics. So we've done 40, 50, 60, and then we've also gone up to 80 and 100, all using the 16. And as you can see, it's pretty forgiving. Now, whether you could do the same going beyond the 40 weight to, say, a 30 or a 12, or use 2 threads through the needle, I'm not saying that, we haven't done that today, but it just demonstrates there is a huge range that we can use with a 16 needle. So don't be afraid.
So today was all about demystifying using different threads and getting the right tension. And I think it's demonstrated that, which is exactly what I did with the customer who had moved from another brand of machine to one of ours, who said, I went for a Handi Quilter because you can use lots of different types of thread. There we are. And I did exactly this on site when I did the installation, just to show that it's not difficult. Yeah,
brilliant. Okay, so that's it for our live demonstration. This is it. This is what we've done. We've just done it live. We didn't prepare. We were just doing what we do on our foundation workshop, which is demonstrate that you can just do all these different threads. In our foundation workshop, we have the basket has got glide in it, it's got a metallic, it's got a thick thread, and it's got a fine thread. And we encourage people throughout the day to play with those threads. So coming up in 2025, I'm in the process of putting some really exciting classes together, some Zoom classes as well, and I hope that you can join us for one of those. So if you're a long way away, you can still take part. Some really fantastic Zoom ones that I'm in the process of talking to some people about, and I'll let you know about those when they're all finalised. We've got all the dates for our foundation workshops for 2025. We'll be putting those up. Katie will be getting those up online. And those will be with Carolyn James of So Suffolk Quilts over in Suffolk. And Carolyn will be teaching with me on the foundation workshops, which is always fun. And Carolyn brings lots and lots of experience of quilting for others to the table. And she's got Pro Stitcher now as well, which is fantastic. What else? We've got Stuart's talk, as I say, tomorrow. So it's not too late. You could book or just give us a call in the morning and just tell us that you're turning up in the afternoon. Honestly, it would be lovely to see people. It's the last, I think it's the last thing, isn't it, before Christmas, Pete?
This is our last event, yes.
Wow. We should get the Christmas tree out, really, but it's up on a high shelf and I can't reach. But yeah, it's nearly that time of the year when a lot of our customers are so focused on family, finishing their quilts and everything else that we don't run classes in December. There's really no point. So we'll be restarting in the new year with a wonderful schedule of things. I hope you can join us. We'll let you know by email newsletter.
Still busy with installations though, aren't we? We're down in Sussex next week.
I'm up doing, installation in Sussex. Yeah, and then I'm up in the northwest. Wales northwest. 3 different types of machines. Doing over that. 4 actually. 4, not servicing, but I'm going to visit a Moxie customer. 4 different types of machines on my 2-day sojourn, and then down in Sussex, and then, oh gosh, yeah, we're busy, aren't we? We've got some other trips and everything the week after.
Yep.
And we're now booking up installations into the week before Christmas, aren't we? So, yeah, exciting times. So if you've got any questions about this session, or if you'd like to post any comments about what your experience has been, please do. Or you can discuss these things if you're a Handi Quilter owner on Long Arm Learning Curve, where if you are having problems, it's a private group. You can post that you're struggling or succeeding, whichever end of the spectrum you happen to be on. There are people there who will either congratulate you on your fantastic success or commiserate and help you if you're struggling. Anything else, Pete? Great. We'd like to wish everybody a wonderful weekend. We look forward to seeing those customers who are coming to Stuart's event tomorrow, and we'll catch up with you. Ooh, won't be next week, will it? Because we aren't here. I'm definitely not.
No,
we won't do it next week.
I'll be on the road, and you're on the road as well,
yes.
as it were.
Going in different directions.
Yes.
So we won't be able to do it next week, but we will catch up with you probably the week after. Haven't looked at the diary. Okay. Yes, I think I can do the week after. So you won't be here. You'll be up and doing an installation somewhere in the Northwest.
That's right.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, have a wonderful weekend and very happy quilting to you all. Bye now.